Hey everyone, welcome to George's Library. My name is George and today I want to talk about Maus by Art Spiegelman. Maus is one of those books that feel almost impossible to approach like a normal review. And I think part of that is because this book is already questioning what it means to tell a story like this in the first place. So going into it, I wasn't just thinking, what is this book about? I was thinking, how do you even begin to tell a story like this? Because Maus isn't just a graphic novel about the Holocaust. It's Art Spiegelman trying to tell his father's story, and at the same time, trying to figure out if that is even something he can be capable of doing honestly. And once I started learning a bit about how this book came to be, that tension made so much more sense. Spiegelman didn't just sit down and write Maus. This was a project that took years, interviewing his father, recording conversations, trying to piece together memories that were fragmented, sometimes contradictory, sometimes shaped by time and trauma. And you can feel that process inside the book. It's not hidden, it's not cleaned up. In fact, one of the most striking things about Maus is that it doesn't present itself as a polished, authoritative version of history. It constantly reminds you that what you're reading is a reconstruction, something being assembled, questioned, even doubted as it's being told. And that's where the storytelling becomes really powerful. On the surface, the choice to represent Jews as mice and Nazis as cats is very simple, almost deceptively simple. But the more I sat with it, the more it felt less like a metaphor and more like a kind of framing device. It creates a bit of distance, but not emotional distance, more like interpretive distance. It reminds you that this is a story being shaped, not just remembered. And that matters because the relationship at the center of the book, the one between Art and his father Vladek, isn't really sentimental or easy. Vladek is a survivor, yes, but he's also difficult, controlling, and frustrating. And the book doesn't try to resolve that tension. Quite the contrary, it seems to be leaning into it. And this is where knowing a bit about Spiegelman's intention really changes the reading experience. He wasn't trying to create a heroic portrait of his father. He was trying to be honest. And honesty, in this case, means showing how trauma doesn't just stay in the past. It reshapes the present, especially in relationships. There's this constant push and pull in the book. Art wants to honor his father's story, but he also feels overwhelmed by it, even burdened by it. And instead of hiding that discomfort, he puts it directly into the narrative. So Maus becomes two stories at once. One, the story of surviving the Holocaust. Two, the story of telling that story years later. And those two layers are constantly interacting. Even the structure reflects this. You move back and forth between present and past, between the camps and everyday conversations. And those present-day moments aren't breaks from the story. They are the story. They show you what survival looks like after the fact. The artwork plays a huge role here too. It's very restrained. There's nothing overly stylized or dramatic. And I think that's intentional. Spiegelman avoids turning suffering into spectacle. The simplicity forces you to engage with what's happening without any visual cushioning. And the more I thought about it, the more it felt like every choice in Maus is about resisting simplification. It doesn't simplify history. It doesn't simplify trauma. And it definitely doesn't simplify people. And what stayed with me the most is that the book is not trying to give you a clear meaning or resolution. It doesn't suggest that suffering leads to wisdom or that telling the story brings closure. If anything, it suggests the opposite, that some things remain unresolved even when you've done your best to put them into words. And I think that's why Maus feels so honest. It's not trying to give you a clean narrative. It's showing you the messiness of memory, the difficulty of representation, and the emotional weight of carrying someone else's past. By the end, I didn't feel like I have fully understood the book. I felt like I have been invited into a process, one that's ongoing, complicated, and deeply human. And maybe that's the most powerful thing Mouse does. It doesn't just tell a story, it shows you the cost of telling it. Alright, thanks for watching. Looking forward to your comments down below. Meanwhile, I hope you stay safe, be kind, and keep on reading. I'll see you next time.